And I don't want the Republican Party to win, which is why I keep saying that the Democratic Party needs to do more, especially because when they do things, when they do progressive legislation, then the reactionary Republicans fight against that. Let's get back to John Don Vance.
Aren't a member of a big and beautiful family with 400 children around and everything else. It doesn't mean that a person doesn't have, he's not against anything, but he loves family. It's very important to him. All he said is he does like, I mean, for him, he likes family.
He likes family. Donald Trump defending his running mate, J.D. Vance, as he continues to face backlash over his now viral remarks aimed at Kamala Harris and supporters of her.
We're effectively wrong.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I never fucking hear Republicans running around and being like, if you don't vote for Donald Trump, you want America to be homosexual. If you don't vote for Donald Trump, you want every American to be raped by Guatemalan migrants or whatever. They don't do that. No, they don't. They don't do that. You want to know why they don't do that? Because Republicans do actively try to brainwash their fucking audience and also simultaneously like run on positions that the captured audience members are actually advocating for. They're so fucking clued in on their base that they literally do things that hurt them politically, including banning fucking abortion. Like they're so captured by certain parts of their base of voters, like the evangelical Christians, that they've literally launched like 40-year fucking projects that successfully rip bodily autonomy from women. Okay? They do say that, but they are being so clearly manipulative and dishonest that it doesn't ring in the same way. My justification for voting for Kamala is her undying support for unions as well as her stance on healthcare. I'm a FedEx driver. Wait, what? Making around 50K a year. I hope for a union future. As for Palestine, I truly hope that her stepdaughter can somehow get through to her. Wait, I don't know if you know her stance on healthcare, but I think she literally walked back her support for Medicare for all recently. You're right about hogs usually, but you're way off on the mark on this. No, okay. I didn't represent my position appropriately. Okay. The Republican Party actively gets their agenda done, no matter how awful it is. The Democratic Party doesn't, no matter how good it is. Okay. You're misunderstanding, but that's my fault. I will take ownership over my lack of effective communication on this. Okay? The Republican Party listens to their base, and no matter how fucking ride or die or how insane those policies are, they will push for it. Think about it this way. There are enough people in the base of support for the Republican Party that are so aggressive on the issue of arming Americans that the Republican Party will actively push for legislation that like allows ammunition vending machines near fucking schools. Or the Republican Party actively was running on arming teachers after the Parkland school shooting. It was the Parkland one, right? There's so many goddamn school shootings. I was about like the Republicans literally look to their base, or the Republicans literally look to their base and go, "Oh, these guys are fucking crazy, but we'll give them what they want. Fuck it, who cares?" Do you understand? They give their different constituencies. Yeah, they did it after Uvalde too. They give their different constituencies what they want, and they push for it. And they don't just campaign every 4 years. They campaign every day. They campaign every day for 4 years. They campaign constantly. They're always on message. Democrats completely cast aside all this shit. when they're in power. And only remember that, like, oh shit, we are running for election. We're running for re-election. Oops, time to fucking dial it up a little bit. And then a lot of people just eat it up. A lot of people in this community even seemingly eat that shit up. And then they turn around and posture like a vote for the Democratic Party is actually going to make abortion legal in the country, or somehow simultaneously defeat the Supreme Court supermajority. And it's odd. And I don't want the Republican Party to win, which is why I keep saying that the Democratic Party needs to do more, especially because when they do things, when they do progressive legislation, then the reactionary Republicans fight against that. Okay? Here's how it works. I'm going to pull up Paint. I'm going to pull up Paint and try to explain this visually. Okay? Let's say this is the American political spectrum. Okay, this is max communism, maximum commie. And this is Nazi. Okay, if this is the peak, okay, this is the peak of like where you can go in American politics. You push further and further right, you inevitably arrive at Nazi policies. You push further and further left, you inevitably arrive at, you know, full-blown false dichotomy. It's not. It's reductive, but it's not a false dichotomy at all. Okay? Your handwriting kind of sucks. I know. Don't let the horseshoe theory idiots get a hold of this. Yeah. So here's how this works. Okay? Here's how this works. The Republican Party, let's do that with red, is like around here. And every year they go, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they were here, and now they're here. Okay? And they keep pushing the needle. They keep pushing it over and over again. The Democratic Party can respond to that when they are in power. If the Democratic Party is like here, okay, the Democratic Party could pull back and potentially take back some of the reductions in civil liberties that the Republican Party has advocated for and successfully carried across the finish line. All right? They can do that. But if they want to do that, they have to literally go here so they can pull the Republican Party more to the left. Okay? The issue, however, is that the exact opposite happens. The Republican Party goes further right, and the Democratic Party goes further right alongside them. The greatest example of this in terms of domestic policy is on immigration. The Democratic Party in 2020, under the leadership of Biden, ran to the left of the Republican Party on immigration. They said that they were going to change. They said that they were here. They said that they were going to change in the first 100 days of Biden's agenda, that they were going to change immigration, change the course of immigration, and actually actively pull the country and actively pull the Republican Party to the left on immigration. They were going to fix the processing issues and whatnot. They didn't do that. Okay? They actively did not allow. They actively did not counter message against the Republican Party. The Republican Party never stopped pushing the narrative that immigrants are rapists and murderers and drug dealers, and maybe some of them are very fine people on both sides. Okay? So the country went further and further right, and it's an untested, uncontested narrative. So what did the Democrats do? The Democrats turned around and went more right on immigration and arrived here at the 2020 position of the Republican Party. What the 2020 position of the Republican Party on immigration, what the 2020 position on the Republican Party on immigration was, building the wall, you know, and being more restrictive on immigration literally became the Democratic Party's position in 2024. Okay? This is what is known as the ratchet effect. This is why you don't hear from the vote blue no matter who chirpers about how if you don't vote for the Democrats, you want kids in cages and you want migrants to be fucking murdered. They don't say that anymore because they can't say that anymore because the Democratic Party changed its position on migrants in cages. They are now pro at least 2020 migrants in cages. The Republicans, but remember, the Republicans even pushed the needle further. Now they're talking about mass deportation. Okay? However, on this front, Democrats could do this exact same thing. Democrats could actively push the Republican Party to the left on certain issues. As a matter of fact, on certain fronts, Donald Trump kind of did do that, where the Republican Party's overarching policy positions were always genuinely anti-social spending. Donald Trump kind of cast that aside. Donald Trump kind of cast that aside and said, he gave the stimmy checks during COVID, and he even ran on and still runs on not touching Social Security. Okay? Why? Because the entire country is like, the fuck do you mean Social Security? If you cut Social Security, that's insane. All the voters are old. They're going to fucking lose their minds. So the Republican Party was pulled on Social Security at least in the top of the ticket. Okay? The Democratic Party, and Megaphonics is right on this, focusing on Project 2025 forced the Trump campaign to cut Project 2025. The Democratic Party actively advocating against what the Republican Party has done on the issue of abortion has caused at least some of the Republicans at the top of the ticket to try to moderate their stances on abortion. This is because right-wing reactionaries are reactionaries. That's it. They react. So you have to give them something to react to. If you don't give them something to react to and you let them fucking ride on their narrative that is uncontested, like on the issue of immigration, then they will go further and further right until they're here. Okay? And when 2028 comes around and the Democrats have now gotten here, they will be the ones advocating for mass deportations. Okay? The Dems will move here. That's where the Republicans are right now on 2028, where they are the ones who are advocating for mass deportations, and the Republicans are the ones who are advocating for mass murder. Okay? So one of my active criticisms on this issue has always been that the Democrats don't launch a strong enough opposition to the Republican messaging on this front. And that is how they allow the Republican Party to push the conversation on things that are pivotal, things that are very important, like immigration, to become completely captured by the right. They capitulate the right-wing framing on immigration. And it's not just the Democratic Party that does this. Liberals across the board in the Western world do this all the fucking time. Labor Party did it as well. Okay? You could say the same thing in the other direction too. The Republican platform will need to change if they lose the Dems every time. Yes, that is correct. That's why I like fighters like Waltz or even Bashar to a certain degree. uncompromising Dems that are objectively popular in their states as governors who have consistently advocated for better leftist economic policies are popular for that reason, because people do believe in them. Why does the Democratic Party work against itself? 2024 isn't different from 2020 or 2016. We know how the Republicans operate, and that hasn't changed. As much as they may dislike it, the Republicans are unified as a party and no, they're not unified as a party. You're wrong. And consistently campaign, whereas the Democrats are divided and forget that campaign is necessary, yet act surprised when they're losing every year. And this isn't just a 2020 thing. It's happening in local elections too. The Republicans are not exactly unified either. I mean, that's why Joe Biden was able to actively campaign for the mythical moderate and independent voters that are living in the suburbs and whatnot. Because Donald Trump is so gross and so weird in the way that he advocates for crazy shit that he was repulsive to a lot of people living in the fucking suburbs.